Good Tuesday morning. It is April 2nd, and I'm your host, The Real Monica Adams, The Monica Adams Show. It's the real one, though, right? We want more of you to be authentic, so that's why we didn't call it The Monica Adams Show. I've been asked that a lot, actually, over the last few weeks, and so I thought I would address that this morning. So many people said, you could have just called it The Monica Adams. Are there fake Monica Adams out there? And I said, no, it's the all aspect of real and authenticity. And so if you're new to the show, that's why we call it what we call it. So now that's just a little explanation for you. We've been doing this show since March 1st of last year. And George, who you know is one of my directors, he came in today and said, are you nearing 300 shows? So we need Carrie, who is ticking away for us at the calendar, saying, Monica, you had your 200th show coming up. That was back in December. So yeah, we're wondering, is 300 very near, very close in the distance, or in the distance or very close to us? That's what we are trying to figure out. If, in fact, you know Carrie, we would love to know that. Otherwise, we'll have to be looking at the calendar and we'll let you know. Today is a day of cleanup. A lot of you had storms overnight, I'm sure. A lot of you might be calling our dear friend Kathy Kilo Peterson to say, I've got damage to my home. I've got hail damage. I've got storm damage. I'm sure that is the possibility. Trees down, power lines down. I know at our house, we lost power at about 2 o'clock this morning and came back about 3:30, I think is when it came back on for us. But I was a little worried we were going to have trouble getting on this morning. Glad to know that we didn't have any issues here in the Brentwood area. But what about you? I'll be looking at the comments this morning to see if you're dealing with that. And, you know, a couple hours ago when I first got up, the sun still wasn't up yet. So that's always when people start to say, oh, wow, I do have damage. I couldn't see it when it was dark. So let us know. One of the things I want you to know, at least early this morning, but as you're heading out and you flip on the radio, or maybe you go and you look at Waze or any other mapping agency you can look at to find out if, in fact, 5570 is still affected. Southbound, right there by the Eads Bridge, it was closed down because of flooding in the highway. They were trying to get all that water out of the way. So, yes, a lot of flooding. There was hail damage. As you saw, trees down, power lines down. Nothing like what we saw a couple weeks back with the size hailstones that we saw then. But about 2 inches reported in Chesterfield. Kirkwood had some and spread throughout our area. So storms, the big story of the morning. In Oklahoma, a tornado actually did touch down. And can you believe this? In New Mexico, they're still talking about snow. So depends on where you are in the United States, what you're dealing with from a weather standpoint. Let's give you what the weather to start off this morning. 60 degrees right now. That is actually going to be our high because it's going to get significantly colder as we go in through the rest of the day. Not ruling out a midday or maybe even an early afternoon storm that could pop up, but for the majority, the rain will be moving out. And then we're talking about much colder conditions as we move in tomorrow and the next couple of days. If you are going to the St. Louis Cardinals home opener on Thursday, you better bundle up. It's going to be breezy. We're going to be lucky to hit 50 on Thursday, 48 for the high tomorrow. But then we start to see that climb as we go into the weekend, which is good news. St. Louis City SC has a game on Saturday. The Cards have a game on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. As far as the highs as we head in towards Friday, climbing to 58 and a steady climb through the weekend. Saturday's high 63, Sunday 67, Monday 75. But again, we got to get through the colder temperatures that we're going to see over the next couple of days. In fact, the low in the upper 30s tonight, and then 48 with scattered showers and a low of 37 tomorrow. Again, watch out as you're heading out from your neighborhood. If it is trash day, you could have trash cans down. Just know that from the storms overnight. Now, as far as the news you can use, it's a municipal election in Missouri and Illinois. If you are heading to the ballot, heading to the polls to vote, I'm sure you know what's on the ballot, and hopefully you are prepared as you can get in and out. But yes, a municipal election, so some heading to the polls. Be careful as you are doing that. Again, getting around some of the storm damage and people heading in, walking around, going to the polls. We've talked in the years that I was in news of people getting hit and struck as they're trying to get across the street. Just be careful, please. We're talking ever since the pandemic just how crazy people have been driving out there. So please know that more people might be out and about as they head to the polls. Some small ships, we're told, are now able to get by where the bridge was struck in Baltimore, Maryland, following that crash that killed 6 construction crew members. Again, they're trying to get the shipping industry moving forward again. So just some small ships are able to get by at this point. An update for you from the family of Kaylee Gaines. That is the teenager who is in the hospital, again, after having her head slammed into the concrete after that altercation up in North County. They say their daughter is making small improvements. She is able to take some steps. Not on her own. She is assisted in that. But the biggest problem they're seeing, obviously, is the cognitive side. She's able to say some phrases, but this kind of goes along the lines of having any kind of a traumatic brain disorder. She's saying the same thing over and over again. She is aware that she's in the hospital, but she doesn't know why she's in the hospital. The family said that they would love an apology from the teenager who put her in the hospital, but they do want that teenager tried as an adult. And yesterday, the decision was made to delay that. There's an extension for the next 30 days as they determine not whether or not she is guilty, the teenager, but whether or not she will be, in fact, tried as an adult. So that'll be coming, I think it's May 10th, so definitely in May. Other news, Karlie Kloss, I love this, a stretch of Washington Avenue. Now, here's the deal. This actually has already been on. For people who maybe have been in the area, they may say, oh, I already saw it's a Karlie Kloss. Yes, but they never did an actual unveiling. So it had been there right near North 16th and Washington. Karlie Kloss, as you know, from our St. Louis area, but she's global, an incredible model, and no matter where she goes, the statement she made yesterday is St. Louis will always have a special place in her heart, and she will always tout the incredible things that St. Louis does. What we're hoping, Mayor Tashara Jones and a lot of other St. Louis City leaders were there yesterday, they're hoping that this will resurrect the Garment District, which has a storied history in St. Louis. So Karlie Kloss, congratulations to you. She said she had family and friends that traveled from all across the country to be there for her yesterday, and it meant the world to her. Let's give you some sports news. How about our Cardinals and the Blues, for that matter? The Redbirds, they pull out a 6-2 win after having a horrible outing against the Dodgers. That was a really dismal display, but they are back 6-2, a win over the Padres. They play again tonight at 8:40 against LA. And then the big opener. Are you going downtown for the Cardinals home opener? It used to be something that families love to do. It was a storied tradition for them. Again, it's going to be a little chilly, so grab your jacket that day. 50 and breezy. The team will open the season at home against the Miami Marlins. The Blues, by the way, they pull out an exciting overtime win over Edmonton, 3-2. Brandon Saad has been playing incredible. He's the one that scored the game-winning goal in overtime. The Blues, by the way, are now 3 points out in the wild card race. And you talk about putting it down to the wire. They only have 5 games left in order to get those 3 points, but they are still, fortunately, in the wild card race. And then outside of St. Louis sports, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin scored 41 points to help Iowa beat LSU, and they move on to the Final Four with a 94-87 victory. Iowa will play UConn on Friday. So there is your What the Weather. We gave you some news you can use, gave you some sports news, and now let me give you a little update of some things coming up. We talked about Karlie Kloss as a model, but do you know that we have a dear friend, an international model, a composer, a musician, a singer, who's going to join us tomorrow morning. So Abby Stolzman has been on our show before. Abby's going to make a big announcement with us tomorrow. This is something that's been in the making for 4 years, and she has decided to make the announcement on our show. You do not want to miss this, because I'm also going to be giving 2 tickets away to this event that she's going to be talking about. If you've never seen her play before, or you have, and you can't wait to see her again, tomorrow is your show. On Thursday, we'll be back with Jessica Cook with Positive Talk Time. And then on Friday, we are going to be at Orange Theory Fitness in Fenton. And we will be showcasing not only the incredible things that Orange Theory does, but how their doors were able to remain open thanks to the visionary mindset of Laura Kohler. So that's all coming up for you this week. Today, we've been talking about this for the last week or so. Rich Melching, who is behind Dude's Playground. Rich is going to be with us with the Dude. Yes, Dude is here today. And then Don Schaefer will be joining us as well. We're going to talk about the amazing things that they have done, the visionary that Richard is, as he helps those veterans, disabled veterans, those with mental health, PTSD. It runs the gamut with trauma and pain, and how a respite called Dude's Playground is able to help them. So we're going to see the Dude and Rich in the blue chair when we return. Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com. And welcome back. It is 7:11. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. To you and to each and every sponsor, remember, we could not do this without you. So remember, when you see a show that really touches your heart, do us a favor and share and like and follow on Facebook and on YouTube. I know I have a lot of new viewers watching today, thanks to the gentleman that's to my right. Let me introduce. I'm not going to call him Richard because that's what his mom called him. Rich Melching, so glad to have you in studio with us.
Oh, it's so glad to be here, Monica. I have been waiting for this for a long time. I've been following you since week 3.
Well, thank you. And look who's down below here.
Come here, boy.
Dude, we can see a little bit of dude. We can see the back of his head. We're going to talk about how he has been the inspiration for so many people. But first of all, thank you for coming by our 200th show. We're trying to figure out if we're nearing 300. I think we have to be.
It's got to be close.
Yes. So we have to have
that was November, correct?
That was December, right?
December.
Right around, Christmas time. So yes, we're getting closer and closer. So you have been a follower of this show, you said, since week 3?
Yes.
Why?
So I found myself, my story's pretty quick, put me in the position that I'm in now. I was a business owner, successful, rental houses. Money was not a big deal. All of a sudden in 2007, I started getting headaches to the point where I would get headaches for days, weeks, and even a month. And then I was trying to ignore it. I was taking narcotics to try to to relieve the pain, which then you get rebound headaches. I was introduced to Imitrex shots and was doing, you're supposed to do 3 Imitrex shots a month now. I was doing 4 a day sometimes.
Wow.
To try to run the business, get through the business. It got to the point in 2009, after the fall of 2008, when everybody was struggling, that I got injured at work and I couldn't survive anymore. So I found myself all of a sudden not able to make money, borrowing money from my mom to eat, living in a basement, looking at a fluorescent light. And I had one window in that basement. It was in a spare bedroom. That's the only time I could see the outside light. And finally in 2012, the military found me to be military-related disabled with migraine headaches. I'll go back a little bit. The medicine started in 2007.
Okay.
By 2012, I'm up to 20 medicines.
Wow.
I'm taking 800 milligrams of Seroquel. I'm taking 150 milligrams of Thorazine, the old Thorazine shuffle from the 50s. I don't know if you remember them talking about that in the psych ward. It's a very old psych medicine. So what happened to me is I was trying to ignore a month-long headache. And my body and my brain said, you can't do it no more.
Right.
I climbed a flight of stairs in my house, opened my gun cabinet, and stuck a gun in my mouth. And the oil in the gun woke me up. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I went into my office and I couldn't read the service ticket. It looked like Chinese writing to me. I just couldn't read it. So that was my introduction to the psych ward for the first time, and that's when all the medicine started. When I got my disability, I was able to buy the place I'm living at now, and I went down to that levee next to those ponds, and I just cried and prayed and thanked God that I'm going to be okay.
Were you always a faith-based man, or did you find God?
Absolutely, but a lot stronger during that time. I think a lot of people always been faith-based, definitely. But I started doing church searching at that time. I was, raised in a small church in Illinois, and so I went church shopping and started watching other things and other people, and I started realizing that the things that affected me. When your brain quits working, you can't get up, and you can't get up sometimes, and you can't power through it like you do. And I'm here to let people know that that's okay sometimes. That's okay, guys
Absolutely.
and ladies.
Yes.
So my favorite word with your show is balance. This is what I struggle with every day, is that balance. If I do too much, I pay for it so dearly at night.
Sure. If you try to power through too much.
Yes, if I try to power through. But I'm the entrepreneur go-getter.
Yeah.
I work myself until, I love my wife so much. Hi, Becky. I work myself so much that, she's like, you have to stop.
Yes.
And then I have to lay in bed for 2 days.
Well, and we talk a lot about the need for the support system to keep us in check, right? So thank you, Becky, by the way, for doing that. If you're just tuning in, let me reintroduce my guest. This is Rich Melching, and Dude is on the ground. We're going to talk about Dude's Playground. But did you happen upon the show, or did someone turn you on to the show and say, you need to listen to this?
No, we actually met back in the turn of the century, back when...
The turn of the century.
I love back in the 1900s.
Boy, we look good.
When Washington Avenue was popping. I was working at 1521 Washington Avenue, and my daughter, Crystal, was the manager at Prime 1000.
Here's the thing that's so interesting. So Rich has been talking with me via my email, but he happened to write me on a direct message on Facebook, and I went and scrolled up for a second, and I went, oh, we've had a conversation. I think it was 2016, and you said something about Crystal, and I said, that name sounds familiar. I used to love, what was the, Tom Sutliff, yes. So Tom used to invite me to come to these Prime 1000 wine dinners, which were unbelievable. And I really wish that was still open. But yes, I remember her, and I loved every one of them. And I said, oh my gosh, I loved What a Small World that we had a connection before the show.
Correct.
But I'm glad you found the show. I would love to know what the show has done for you in the year that you've been listening.
So you talk about a lot of things that people don't like to talk about, uncomfortable things. Now, I have to tell you, there are times that when I turn on your show, you're in too damn good a mood for me to be watching at the time, because I'm just not feeling like watching somebody in a good mood.
That's okay.
And you're right, that is okay.
Yes.
So that's when I have to come back and watch that one later.
Sure.
But, number one, you're faith-based. I love that right off the bat. I love the way you end your show every day. You talk about, like I said, the things. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about neuropathy. You want to talk amputation. You want to talk about 7 back surgeries, shoulders replaced, hips replaced. I want to talk about whatever affects you. I don't care what your disability is. I don't care if it's a hangnail. If it puts you in a mind state where your brain is not functioning properly, you're in a dangerous state.
Sure.
It takes seconds to put something in your mouth.
Yes.
Pull the trigger.
Well, and so, Richard, one of the things that we've talked about in the past, I'm going to call you Richard, is just because someone's over here saying, I have this going on in my mind or my spirit or my soul, oh, Rich is over here telling me he's had back surgeries, neuropathy, amputee, all these different things. His is worse than mine. Don't do that to yourself. And that is one of the things that I appreciate for the last year that we've had people in this chair, is that it has run the gamut of what people have gone through, what people have come through, what God has taken them through, all those levels of, will I ever see myself out of this darkness? Because in the very dark space, you don't see the light. No. But then you listen, and as you said, I don't know if I'm ready to hear the happiness. I'm not there yet. But something draws you back, right? You still seek it out. Nobody wants to stay in darkness. But it's hard when you're in it to say, am I going to find my way out? Do I deserve? Because at the time, people feel, do I deserve my way out? So you have been through a lot. You have seen a lot of things. Your friends, your family that you're around as well. You open Dude's Playground, and we talk about disabled veterans, but one of the things that I love about Rich is he's saying this is for anybody who's suffering with mental health. You're the visionary behind Dude's Playground, and then Dude was the inspiration. When did this all come about, and why?
Bought the property in 2015, and had that moment on the closing day, and then come up and told my wife about the idea. Contacted some veterans that I knew to help get started, and I want to touch on what you just said. Real quick too, about people wanting to say, well, his disability is worse, or this, that, and the other. I don't mind people asking me about my disability. I am very fortunate that my disability does not affect me 24/7 every day. And that's when I decided I'm going to be a mouth for the people it does.
Yes.
Because I've got a mouth and I'm going to use it, Monica.
Thank you for doing so.
And So that's why I do. So, but the worst question I hate is, why are you disabled? Or why do you have a dog? I don't mind the question, but that whole attitude, because I know I don't look disabled. I get that right at the moment. But come inside my home if you want to see what I go through. I'm not here to prove it to anybody. It doesn't.
Well, we shouldn't have to prove ourselves to people.
Rusty Azell, you know Rusty very well. What's up, Rusty, my brother? Rusty made a comment when I first started this. Rich, I wouldn't walk again to take your pain. He's a close enough friend. He sees firsthand what I go through and he says, there's no way I would walk again to take your pain. No way. Every disabled person thinks the other guy is worse off.
And isn't, I don't want to say shame because we're trying to get away from the word shame, but it's unfortunate that so many people put themselves in a lesser state because they think this person's worse than me. But, you know, we all can be walking around in a great state and we don't know what's going to happen the very next second. So stop being judgmental, right? We talk about the kindness that we should show to every human being, every walk of life, every race, every creed, etc. Just getting out of your own space. But yes, when we see somebody in pain, we should be offering up, how can we help you? You wanted to pay it forward, and you saw this opportunity to bring people together. So you have the property. What makes you...
So we don't even have a name for it yet.
Yeah.
And I don't have dude yet.
Okay.
So we're about a year into it. No construction's done, and I'm just bringing people over, veterans that I do know. And I get the dude, and one of the veterans says, well, this is just a big playground for dude, isn't it? Ding, 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 dude's playground. So we got, my main goal, like I said, was to get people out of that fluorescent light. You know, it's just a horrible place to be. My disability's not any better where I live, but looking at that fluorescent light, boy, I sure feel better.
Right.
That thought of suicide don't come.
Right.
And then, we finally got COVID hit. That was horrible. Isn't that awesome? When COVID hit, we were just getting into contact with the VA to get people out of the hospital, and COVID hit.
That's beautiful.
But since last year, now look at that. See, if you're in a bad state of mind and looking at that, or in a bad state of mind looking at a fluorescent light, where's your head going to go?
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Like we just said, if we rewind like 5 minutes ago, it is if you stay inside and you're in the darkness, but you have the fluorescent light that you're trying to get the help from, if you can get somebody to get you outside, hopefully on a gorgeous day like that sunrise or sunset, you look at the clouds and how they're painted, you look at the water and the serenity of it all, it just suddenly starts to put you in a better state of belief that better days are ahead.
Absolutely. And I thought fishing, well, we got to do fishing. You know, it's what it's about. And even the people who like the fish, fishing becomes secondary when they come there. We keep our groups small. I don't like more than a dozen people. If you get a big group, it's just too many people, and you start getting two parties. And you know, we're not therapists, we're not doctors. I've got the greatest board of directors on the face of the planet. We have an RN, always on hand when we have people over like that. We always have aides to help people, but they just want the camaraderie of sitting around, listening to the birds and watching the snakes and turtles or whatever it may be.
But they have to watch out for dude because he tries to steal the fish.
He does. This guy will grab a 10-pound channel cat.
There you go. That's my favorite picture. Look, a dude just popped up and said, Dad,
dude,
don't tell them that I did that.
What? Is it?
Did you get that fish?
See that fish?
Look at, he just stood up. Yep, I did, Dad. Don't tell them that. You love to fish?
He does.
Can you bark for us? Oh, look at him. How old is dude?
Dude just turned 8, and we call it March 1st. We don't know his exact birthday.
He's 8. He looks younger.
He does.
Wow.
He's been the same weight, Monica, since he's been 18 months.
Oh, my God. He's a big boy.
Yeah, he weighs 63 pounds.
I'm sorry. Did we wake you up early?
Yeah.
Where'd you get him from?
Got him some people that were struggling, and went down. And when I bought the place, I was looking for, a service dog, and wanted to train my own. Thought he was a German Shepherd when we got him. After a couple months later, we found out he's 4th generation wolf. So he is a hybrid wolf dog.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have thought also.
Yeah.
Woof.
So we promote, we started learning about wolves, and they say they turn and want to be dominant at 18 months. And 18 months come and pass, and he's never growled at a human being.
He likes the palm trees. Don't pee in there. If you're just tuning in, by the way, oh, there we
I'm
go.
over by the window.
Oh yeah, he said, Dad talked about me. I'm going over here. Dude is here with us. Rich Melching is here with us. We're talking about Dude's Playground, and we're going to be mixing in some beautiful pictures. So if someone wants to be a part of these small groups that you're doing, tell us how this all works.
Dudesplayground.org.
Okay.
We've got our spring schedule up. We have our schedule up until the 1st of July. So June 29th being we only do once a year fundraisers now. It's just too much for me to do a bunch of them. So June 29th is our yearly fundraiser. So the schedule is out between then. It starts April 18th. Mm-hmm. And go on dudesplayground.org and check out the event page and send me a little email. Look at that. Send a little email to me, and we'll reserve your spot on any date you want there. Now, this is important. I want to make it clear that we don't only cater to disabled veterans.
Yes.
I'm a disabled veteran.
Mm-hmm.
That money bought the property. That's my main focus. But as you know, first responders,
yes,
police officers, and military, they suffer from PTSD more than the other industries, around.
Right.
But if you got a group of people, we've had a nursing home over, or if you got a group of people that want to come, get a hold of me on dudesplayground.org, and we'll make it happen a day that you want it to happen.
Awesome.
So we'll bring you over for 4 hours. We're going to feed you. Fishing poles are available, and sit down there and just hang out and have fun.
Well, and we're going to talk more about, and there's a look at some of the people that have been enjoying that. I want to hear how their lives have changed since Rich opened Dude's Playground. So
Bob.
That's Bob right
That's
there.
Bob.
Oh, we were going to bring Bob in, but Bob would have had to have gotten up at what time? 4?
He would have to get up before 4 o'clock.
Just to be able to get in here. Bob, I'm so sorry that I didn't get a chance to meet you, but I'm hoping that we get a chance to meet in person at some point, maybe at Dude's Playground. I want to hear about how lives have been changed since you opened this. So we're going to bring Don Schaefer in with us. So is Don on your board? Or?
Don is on my board, yes.
Okay, how many people are on your board?
4.
4 people.
4
So we want to hear about Don and all the rest of the people who have had an opportunity to go to Dude's Playground. Dude is just chillaxing over in the corner, completely relaxed, and saying, thank you for featuring my daddy. We are going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to bring Don Schaefer in. We'll talk more with Rich, and I'm going to look at your questions or comments that you might have for our dear friend. By the way, he is wanting over 200, right?
200 views. How many we got? Where we at?
Right now you're at 42, but I don't
42?
know. Yeah, so hold on. We're only 27 minutes into the show. Right now, all police officers that you know, all law enforcement, I don't care if it is paramedics, if it's fire, if it's dispatchers, because it's so many levels that are our first responders. Get a hold of them. Anybody that you know that has been in the Marines or the Army or the Air Force or the Navy or the Coast Guard that's ever served for us. And thank you to each and every one of you, by the way, for serving us and letting us be free in this country. Start telling all of them, because Rich wants this to go higher and higher and higher. I actually was watching Ruby Lee, because you mentioned Ruby, last night. She was singing. She was doing like a little concert for everybody last night and singing songs live. She was at like 120. I was like, oh, we had more. We had 186 with her. But he wants more than Ruby Lee. Can we make that happen? It's all up to you. So right now, start texting people, calling people, telling them that we're on, and we're talking about how we can help the health of those who have honored us and served us in so many different levels. Don Schaefer, Rich Melching, and the Dude when we return. Hi, it's Monica Adams. Thank you so much for following along with The Real Monica Adams Show since we launched back in March. But I wanted to let you know there's so much more that I could do with you, your business, your corporation. Did you know that I'm a motivational speaker all around the world, as well as an MC and an auctioneer? So if you have an event, maybe a nonprofit organization, and you want to book me, just shoot me an email, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Personal training, life coaching, and styling as well. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com.
I joined the Army in 1982, fresh out of high school, 17. I was in a Patriot Battalion, the 1st Patriot Battalion to go overseas. Suffered from migraines since I was in the military. Depression is a big killer. I woke up with a gun in my mouth, and the oil in the gun is what woke me up. The reason I
started Dude's Playground is I don't care what your disability is. When you get into the mindset that you don't want to be here anymore because it be a headache or a loss of a limb or depression or whatever the case is, they're irrelevant. I want people to know that there's hope. That yeah, what you're going through, what is really getting you inside, man, you may think it's the worst thing ever. But there's hope and there's beauty. Nature does wonderful things for a mindset. Let's talk about the dude. This guy here, I gotta tell you what, the dude becomes my best friend, and not only my best friend, but he becomes the veterans' best friend down here. He'll sit here fishing with these veterans, and when they catch a fish, he grabs it, he'll bring it up to the bank. We've been stocking both ponds for 5 years now. We've got a wheelchair path from our driveway right down to where we're sitting, so any wheelchair can get right down here. It's just nature out here. You see a lot of nature out here. If I can get somebody out of the hospital room and say, there's more to life than a fluorescent light, maybe those thoughts won't come to them so much. So that's my goal, is keep those bad thoughts away. Our disabilities are still here. We have them. It's how we deal with them. All the money that we raise stays right here in Waterloo, Illinois. Doesn't go anywhere else. So we've got bathrooms to put in yet, a waterfall to finish, and just a few minor things. And we'll be up and running for Paralyzed Veterans of America to be here. I set a 5-year goal. My 5 years is up in June, and I can't do it by myself. I need the public's help. My body can't do it anymore. That's hard for me to ask for help, but I need help with this. I need people to click that button below and donate whatever you can, and let's get this finished and operational and get this open for these veterans. The day I have a couple Paralyzed Veterans of America vans in here and about a dozen wheelchairs down here is the day I'll say I did.
Wow, welcome back. And he's right here, dude. I love this. If you're just tuning in, it is the Real Monica Adams Show, and today featuring Rich Melching and Dude and the Dude's Playground. But by the way, boy, you've come a long way, my friend.
Yes, that video's 3 years old. Yeah, the bathrooms are actually now, they're built. We're in the final construction of just finishing them off, and it'll be up and running by April 18th. We've done a lot. We built, we changed the waterfall. We've done a lot of work, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the help of my board members and the community. Waterloo's the best community to live in the world. They're the most giving community in the world.
I don't want his tail to get burned. Oh, when you said we say all this on a regular basis. We can't do anything in life without support. I mean, here you are. You saw that video from 3 years ago and how far they've been. Does he want some water? I think he wants some water. We need to give him some water.
He'll survive.
You mentioned the board, though, and Don Schaefer is part of your board. So welcome, Don.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in. What does Dude's Playground mean to you?
Oh, it means just a place where veterans can go out and, as you guys were talking about earlier, getting them out of the fluorescent light scenario and just getting them to Mother Nature where they can enjoy themselves and get away.
Sure, and that was the thing that you want some tea now, huh? One of the things that we talk about is being able, he does want some water, to be able to get out of the darkness that you're feeling at that very moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the belief at that moment, though, that there's not a better day ahead. How you get out of that mindset, being able to walk. So can you do me a favor, and just for the people who are watching right now live or who will watch this later, both of you have been through some hard times. If they are watching and saying, I don't know, just like Rich said earlier, I don't feel like there can be better days ahead. I don't feel like turning the news on right now or turning this show on right now and seeing them being happy. What do you want to say to them? Because they are in a bad state.
Well, I want to say to them, number one, it's a constant struggle for me. I promote doing this, and so does Don, and promote getting better. But once you reach that level to where your brain is not working properly, you're in trouble, and you know you gotta find help. I met Don at our very first fundraiser. He actually came before it started, and dropped off a $200 check.
God bless you.
And that's how I got to know him. And it wasn't too long after that I asked him to be on the board of directors.
How did you find Dudes Playground?
I was just heard it. Everybody was talking about it in the community, and then I found out that Rich was out there running it. So I seen the advertisement for it, and I thought, well, this is a great thing to do for veterans. So
I came to your office, remember?
well, yeah, that was when I was. I'm a real estate broker on the Illinois side, and I run the Toys for Tot drive every year.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
he came in the office carrying a couple of bags of toys. And I think, oh, this is awful nice of Rich. And of course, after a few minutes of conversation, he said, hey, you want to be on the board? So
You can't say no to that big smiling face, can you? Well, I want to give you some compliments and go through some of the questions or comments that people are making this morning. There's a lot of people on who are saying, thank you for your story. Rich, I know people with the nasty attitude, the judgmental attitude that we talked about earlier of, well, why do you have a service dog and where's your disability? Prayers with you, fellow follower of Monica. Chris Miller Weber?
Yeah, childhood friend. Hi, Chris from Florida.
So Chris says, I'm beyond proud of you, Richard. Love you, my dear friend. Congratulations. Dude is the man. There's other comments that were here before that unfortunately have passed through, but I think we had, was it Chris Mueller? Or
No, Eric Mueller.
Eric Mueller.
Oh, Eric.
Eric signed on, and I think he was just saying congratulations to you as well. Linda says, thank you for all you're doing. I have two brothers who are Vietnam vets, so bless you for that. A lot of people say they're sharing. Thank you, Rich, for all you do. That's from Lou Ann Petrie? Don't know that one?
Not that one.
Just a person saying thanks to you. Linda said, my brothers live near Millstadt, just south of there. I'm going to share your place with them. I didn't know about it. I shared with Richard and I, mutual friends as well. If you have any comments about someone that you know that could use this space, let us know. But again, go to dudesplayground.org for more information on this. Again, and to look at the calendar of events and have their big fundraiser coming up. What are you most proud of since you started Dudes Playground?
I don't know where I am yet.
You should be.
I don't know that I am yet. As the video showed, you know, the day I had a van, a couple paralyzed veterans of American vans down there full of veterans is the day I said, you know, I did it. And again, with COVID, I mean, we've had a van full of people. We met another, I have to mention this lady, Trish Odom runs the Haven House down in Marion, Illinois. And she heard about us on the news, and she called us, and she brought a whole group. She brought her own bus and a whole group of people. And so it wasn't the PVA, but we are having a bus full of people come by. I don't know. I don't do it for me, Monica. I do it for me because it helps me. I can't go from an entrepreneur to do what some of my friends say, why don't you collect your check and shut up? I can't do that. I'm not well enough to run a business. So how do you do that?
You're successful in every day that you bring happiness to people.
Well, thank you.
You're successful in the fact that you're showing people that there are better days ahead. I know it's hard. You're a humble man. I can feel that when the day I met you, but you should be proud because you are giving hope.
That's the idea.
And that's the richest that we can ever be. That goes along with your name.
And you can't give up. I mean, wow, you can't give up for very long. I don't know how to say this. It happens. I mean, I just 3 days ago was struggling, horribly struggling for about 72 hours. And
struggling mentally and physically?
Yeah, and then it goes into the no sleep. Once you get into the no sleep thing, well then, like I said, you're in a whole new realm. Your brain just isn't firing right.
Yeah.
So don't give up. Definitely don't give up. But it's okay to feel. I can't tell you how many times I looked up at God and go, "What's the point? I don't get it. Why are we doing this?"
And what does he say
I
back?
think well, he doesn't always say it back, but I make it through it. I always make it through it. I want to tell people it's a constant struggle. It's not something that you can get over and a week later you're just fine. Right. It just doesn't work that way.
And I hope that on this show, I've never said that it's that easy, right? It's never a snap of a finger and it's over.
No.
But it is that we can't do it alone.
Correct.
So here you are with a wonderful gentleman to the side of you. You've got this wonderful pet, and I don't know what we would do without the unconditional love of an animal. with a wonderful wife and with friends around you so that when you dip down, they pull you up. And when they dip down, you pull them up.
Absolutely.
Isn't that what life's supposed to be about?
That's the way it works.
Yes, it should.
And the supporters, and especially if you're married, your wife is your number one supporters. She sees firsthand. She loves it when people come up to her and say, "Oh, you don't know him like I know him."
Really? No, I don't think you do.
That's kind of goes back to the golden rule. Just treat people the way you'd like to be treated yourself. I mean, can't everybody just get along and,
It seems like it should be so easy, doesn't it?
Oh, I know.
But I know, I say that to people that don't have the same mindset that we do yet. And I say yet because I always have hope for them. And I said, look, I'm not looking at the world with rose-colored glasses. I understand that we have hard times and hard times ahead of us. But all I'm saying is what can we do and what can we own in this world that can change? So when I walked away from the news, it is to say I truly believe that we can start to make movement. But what I was currently doing, I didn't feel like that was helping. It's just deliver the bad news and move on and move on and move on. This, as you said, and I thank you for that, is hopefully providing a respite like you are with Dude's Playground to say, gosh, there is hope there, right? And we make you cry. We make you laugh. We make you think. We educate you, etc. So he won't do it, Don. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think he should be proudest of since he opened Dude's Playground?
Oh, the smiles. I mean, just the
smiles is huge.
Oh, that's real big. Just see those guys come out there and just the looks on their face. Just to see, them enjoying the space out there that we provided for them.
If you could walk through the 4 hours, there's a smile right there. Who's that?
That's Rusty.
Oh, that is Rusty?
That's Rusty.
Oh, my goodness.
He fishes from my deck. That's on my house. So Dude's Playground is like on the other side of that.
By the way, Rusty was on with us, 6+ months ago? Yeah. And that was such a great interview. I loved him. Yeah, but see, I didn't get a chance to meet Rusty in person. So Rusty didn't look like that when he popped up on my screen that day. How big is that?
26.5 pounds. He's 81 now. He's been catfishing his whole life. It's the biggest catfish he's ever caught in his life.
Oh.
He was 79 when he caught it, and it was the same year he shot the biggest deer he's ever shot. So you don't give up just because you're getting older.
Is he still with us, I hope?
He is.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a really quick story about him real quick. I actually met him, and 3 months after I met him, he came up to me and said, "Oh, my God, that was my car in 1988. I don't know if you remember the 3 girls in 1988 that got killed in Columbia when they were redoing the highway.
Columbia, Missouri, or
Columbia,
Illinois?
Illinois. Right as you're coming into Columbia off the bypass. Anyway, his daughter was in a car with 2 other girls coming back from college, and they was in an accident, and they burnt up in the car.
Oh my!
And I was one of the ones who tried to help her. So I got to know, and he didn't want to meet me at the time. He paid my hospital bill, or I burned my leg and cut my leg kicking in the window, and he didn't want to meet me. So here we are so many years later. That was in 1988. We became friends before we realized who each other were. And then one of his family members said, "You know who that is, don't you?" I love Jim. Jim's a great guy.
You have to believe that God is the one that put the 2 of you in each other's lives like that.
God has kept me here to do. God did not keep me here to collect my check and sit down at the pond by myself and go fishing.
No.
He kept me here for more than once for a reason. And there you go. That's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of listening to God, if you will, and
yes.
and saying, "Hey, you're not done yet. You're just not done yet."
He's all over this story.
He is. He's over the property. When we have people actually tell us they feel like he watches over the property when we're there. I can't tell you how many times we have had rain in the forecast and we have an event and it doesn't rain during an event. It just doesn't. It's crazy.
He's watching over each and every one of them, everyone that's soon to come. Right there, that is God's painting. Just look at that for a second. Let's be silent for just a few seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break, and then we'll come back and visit more with Rich and Don, and, of course, the dude who is relaxing on the ground with us. Just look at that, and we'll be back. We need women to lift women up. Let's do that.
Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with our viewers and our listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey. You're close.
Monica. Whoa.
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
That's right. Let's go. 7:45. It is the Real Monica Adams Show. And thank you to all that are brand new to this show. I hope you come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day. If you can't come back live, remember these shows, 200 plus, are there for you to give you that hope and the balance that Rich and I and Don are talking about. This show is the way you need to start your morning instead of what doesn't serve you. And I life coach as well, by the way, for any of you that might be struggling. I would love for you to reach out to me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com, or maybe you come tomorrow night. We have Cultivating a Vision, which is really a huge help for so many. I know a lot of people that come to that evening that are, in fact, struggling, men and women both, that don't want to say anything until all of a sudden near the end. And I've seen people cry so hard of saying that they finally were able to let go and release by something that was said by either myself or Kasia Satars. Kasia, love her. She's in Canada. So it's two coaches tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30 Central Time. Or if you know somebody on the East Coast, it's 7 to 8:30. And rewrite your story. Know your value. Create strategy for success. This is actually our 4th iteration of this. I'm so proud of these nights. Cultivating Your Vision, it is tomorrow night, and I would love to see you. It's on our website, TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Go to events. It's on the calendar. Just click on tomorrow's date. Tickets are still available for that. Again, we're visiting with Rich Melching and Don Schaefer. Let me look at some of the comments and questions. There's a lot of people that are singing your praises since you won't sing them yourselves. Richard Etling said, I am honored to know you.
Oh.
And Kathy says, thanks for giving people hope.
Kathy Kilo Peterson?
Kathy Holden Reed, but we love Kathy Kilo Peterson, don't we?
I love to say that name.
I know, right? KKP, shout out to you. We're going to have her as the official sponsor of today's segment because we love her. And actually, I know she's going to be crazy, crazy busy today because of the storm damage on the Missouri side and the Illinois side. So, Kathy Kilo Peterson, thank you for all that you do and for being the State Farm extraordinaire. It's kkilo.com. You can see it on your screen, 636-561-6460. Rich loves you, as do all of us. No, this one's from Kathy Holden Reed. Thanks for giving people hope. Julie said, hashtag hope ignites. Chris Weber says, great to see Don. Kathy says, nature is so healing. We were looking at that beautiful picture. Good morning to each and every one of you. Darlene Spielman?
Yes. She's a volunteer.
Okay, she says, congratulations, Rich. I am officially retired, so I can't wait to volunteer at Dude's Playground. Wow, such a touching story, Rich. You are a shining light for many. Don't you ever forget that. That's from Crystal Gale. And so glad there's someone like you helping veterans or disabled people, giving hope. Congratulations and God's blessings from Jean Donofrio. Do you know Jean? No?
Maybe not.
Just a lot of new people that are going to be coming to Dude's Playground.
I hope so.
Lisa says, so inspiring and so awesome. Thank you for listening to and following your passion to be so generous and so thoughtful and excited for all that you're doing. Thanks for what you do for our veterans. There you go. There's Kathy Kilo Peterson. She gave you a shout out. So yes, you are helping. So what... I wanted to say this before we went to break, and I'm like, nope, let's just look at that picture, and then let's come back. You said that it's about 4 hours at a time, and it's smaller groups, because, again, just like anything in life, you think of a young kid, and they go to school, and they're sitting there with 20, 30, 40 other classmates, and they feel like they get lost, because they need more of the smaller group mentality and education and teaching, right? It's the same thing when we personal train. I'm not a big fan of group instructing. I got a group instructor certification because I was asked to go into that, but I went, no, I love this or this, semi-private or private training. People come out of those and have the big aha moment of, wow, that's the way I was supposed to connect. The same thing applies for you. You're doing it no more than 12 people. So 4 hours, when they show up, and Don, you mentioned earlier the smiles. I can imagine when they show up, that there's darkness there and maybe not even wanting to look you in the eye and shoulders, hunched over, all those things. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. There are, as soon as people get off the bus, it's kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? What's going on? But when they start looking around, they kind of start seeing everything. So it really lightens them up quite a bit. But one thing that is really good is that every once in a while you'll have these very very quiet individuals. They're off by themselves. And then you'll see Rich kind of move over, connect with them. And if you're in that situation and you start talking, like I say, when you're in a group, you just don't feel like talking, about your problems, especially when there's other people around. But Rich has a gift of getting people by themselves, getting them to open up, and before you know it, they're also smiling.
Right.
So, yeah, it makes a big difference just to see the looks on their face.
Because it's, these people that are getting off the bus and that they're coming, all of you have such a walk of life that none of us will ever know. The things you've seen. You mentioned earlier law enforcement. A lot of you know my husband's a lieutenant with the county police. What he has seen, what his brothers in law enforcement, his sisters in law enforcement, your brothers and sisters in the armed forces. Again, you can hopefully start to tell us some of it. We're never going to say that we truly understand, but what we're here for as your support system is to try to take some of the pain away. But the greatest thing that we can do, I believe, and you tell me, both of you, is to listen.
That's exactly what we learned real quick. Like I said, we're not doctors, we're not therapists. Let them talk, and it comes out. I'll wait to the right moment to slip something in about my life that makes them understand that I know I don't look like it, but I do understand. I've been there, and with the law enforcement and all the first responders. It's not. I think there's a misunderstanding sometimes that's like, oh, their PTSD is worse because they're military or first responders. PTSD is PTSD. The only thing we're saying, it happens more to first responders and military people than it does the general public.
Right.
Do you know that less than 1% of the people in our population in the United States are serving? Now they've been saying that for years, and it was 0.8 since the Vietnam War. As of last year, 0.4% of the people in the United States are serving. And how many people of that are disabled? Why can't we take care of them?
Right.
Why can't we take care of that very, very small amount? But that's why we have to reach so many people. We have to reach 200 people today. How many we got? 200 people better be watching.
They may not be doing it live. I know live is always hard for a lot of people, but the point is, when this is over, is to share like crazy.
Yes.
And then it reaches the masses, the thousands, which is really what we want all around, because that's the biggest thing. When Rich said he wanted to come on is, Monica, we've got to reach 200.
Well, you got to reach about 1,500 to 2,000 people to find one person that I'm really talking about,
right.
The person that affects.
Because he wants to really change lives.
Yeah. When I was a business owner, I threw money at stuff like I do. And I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, it means so much different to me now that I'm a disabled veteran.
Right.
Of what that money actually does and how it helps people.
What branch were you in?
I was in Army.
And?
Marine Corps.
Marine. Thank you so very much to both of you.
You know why they made the Army, don't you?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Well, the Marines needed somebody to look up to.
You all knew that was coming. All right. There's the brotherhood. One of the things that I have always been worried about is that people, and you've seen it happen, will serve for us or be in law enforcement or be in fire, and they will never, ever open up, and they'll never, ever speak. They don't want to let it out there. They're fearful or they're scared. They don't want other people to know that they're not okay. We keep saying that the one really good thing that I think came out of the pandemic is that so much of the world was shut down, and that mental health suddenly was on the forefront of everybody's mind, and they started talking about it. And that gave everybody this lease to say, okay, you're not okay? Okay, he's saying he's not okay. I'm going to listen here for a little bit, but maybe I'll start to say that resonates with me. Do you agree with that, both of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to let people know they're not alone. Okay? It's going to be okay, man. You just get through the night. Get through the night. It's easier. Dealing with your disability is a little easier when the sunlight's out. So it's going to be all right, man. It's going to be all right.
Always is. Yeah. Next day. You just got to get to that next day and get through it.
But I think this next question is going to be maybe the most powerful before we do our 100 Days to Freedom, and that is, we know that there are many of you suffering right now, and you do not see the hope, and you have the gun near you, like Rich said before. And thank you for being so raw and honest about that. Nicholas Murray, did you ever see the interview I did with him with Mind Muscle Pro?
No.
Or Brock Wilson, two strong men who sat in these chairs and said, I tried to take my life, not just once, but multiple times. And I said, thank God you're still here. Thank God you're still here. And for anybody that the two of you know, I know the men who are with the Grunt Style Foundation just down the hall that said, I lost my friend, and every time I lose someone that they take their life and we couldn't get to them, takes you back through the darkness all over again, and you try to rise above it. So what final thing can you say to those that are suffering right now, that are in the very place right now, in this second, thinking that they're going to take their life right now?
I struggled very hard with, quote, disability. Again, I was an entrepreneur, and I like to call myself a man's man. I'm a proud man. You got to get over that. I didn't want to admit I was disabled. I didn't want to receive the check that I can't make my own money. That's hard to get over that.
Out of pride. Out of pride.
Because of pride, or you're ashamed. You're ashamed, embarrassed, whatever the case may be. And even I've got friends now. I'm trying to get to the VA. I'm trying to get to the vet center, who need to go, and they're just not ready yet. And because of that pride, I was in peacetime. Why am I disabled? I got all my arms. Why am I disabled? I struggled with that. And a lot of people do. And then I finally came to realize that, hey, like I said, less than 1% of us serve. We all raised our hand and said, I will die for this country. I love it so much. Yeah, we do deserve it. So once I realized that, I took that freak flag and I started flying it. We do deserve it.
Yes, you do.
I don't care what you saw, what you did. We served our country and said, we will die for it.
And again, we cannot say thank you enough for doing that. And we need more people to want to serve. We need more police officers. We're seeing all these numbers decline, and that's a scary thing.
We need people to love their country again.
Yes.
That's what we need.
That's a whole other show with us, Rich. Isn't it? Yes. Yes.
When did you fall in love with with the United States? When did you actually... Did you have a moment that...
Well, my father served. My brother served. I have multiple levels. And so I grew up around knowing how powerful it was for them to lay their lives on the line for us. So I've since a young little girl, I have forever been in love with this country that we are proud to be living in. I hope you're proud to be living in.
I was 11 years old in 1976. My mom and dad owned a little mom and pop grocery store. And I just remember all the red, white, and blue 200th anniversary. And that's when I fell in love with my country. And that's when it clicked. Yeah. And then joined the military on a $5 bet. And then I was red, white, and blue way before 9/11. A lot of people became red, white, and blue after 9/11, but I was...
No, long before that.
Yeah, well, long before that. So.
And for those of you that hate the country... Get out.
Yeah, get out.
Please stop complaining about it and stop trying to change this country in the ways that you're trying to change it.
It's still the best place on earth, by far.
Amen. Don, what final words would you say to again those suffering? Because as I know Rich is wanting to do today, to affect those lives that are watching this show, maybe right now or going to watch it later, that just don't see any hope, and that they're really in such a dark space today that they're thinking that they want to end their life, that they don't see any value in themselves anymore.
We are all in this together, and nobody's getting out alive. We need to learn how to look past ourselves and see the person standing next to us and see the pain and suffering they're going through and help any way we can.
Absolutely.
So, we just have to learn how to love each other again.
Amen. Right there. DudesPlayground.org. These two gentlemen are there for you. Others on the board, those that have come already. Please do us a favor. If you watch this later and you've been to Dudes Playground, let us know how it's changed your life. Again, and hopefully you go back again and say, wow, this was so powerful. I need to be there again around this, because that's where the hope is. Just looking out at the water, doing your fishing, the camaraderie. DudesPlayground.org. Let's put the phone number up one more time because I want you to see the events that are coming up. You can contact them, and that's where they're located at Kaskaskia Road in Waterloo, Illinois, 618-781-3658, dudesplayground.org, and then there is Rich's email address, dudeplayground@gmail.com. I am so in love with what you're doing. And I thank you for watching this show and spreading the word to others that, yes, there is hope out there. Yes. So, Don, we end every show with 100 days to freedom from. It can be fear and anxiety. It can be depression. It can be shame, anger, overeating. All of those are part of these books. What are you gentlemen feeling?
You're a newbie on this.
Got anything with forgiveness in there?
Well, you are forgiving yourself in all of these. It's just a matter of, because we're trying to get you away from depression, right? It's 100 days leading yourself to that. So depression's one. Shame is one. Anger is one. I don't feel the overeating today. Fear and anxiety, that one is together.
Shame is a good one.
Shame. We're doing shame. For Don, for Rich, and for all of you that are shaming yourself. This is how we will wrap up when we return.
Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com.
Well, welcome back. And in the final couple minutes of our show, I want to thank each and every one of you that are brand new to the show. Thank you, Rich and Don, for bringing more and more. That's why we have different guests in the seats, because we want them to spread the word of, wow, I didn't know this existed. Now you do. 7 o'clock every morning. I'm here for you. And I just ask you to show up and share and like and follow. We tell you to follow or subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is free. I hate that they use the word subscribe because people think you're paying. It just means you click on it to subscribe so you get the notification. And then you're like, oh, wow, it's on. So Facebook or YouTube on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then we put it on Rumble and X and Instagram on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So the platforms are growing and growing and growing so we can reach the masses. All right, Don picked 100 Days to Freedom from Shame. And these are books from Stephen Arterburn. So day 21, good news, bad news. Peter's words pierced their hearts, and they said to him and the other apostles, brothers, what should we do? That's Acts 2, verse 37. One day a man walked up to his friend and said, I have good news and I have bad news. His friend said, look, I'm a positive guy. I'm not into negativity at all, so just give me the good news. Forget the bad news. His friend said, okay, here's your car keys back. Thanks for letting me borrow your car. I'm happy to report that your airbags work perfectly. Good news and bad news. They go hand in hand, don't they? In today's verse, Peter has just finished preaching arguably the most important sermon ever preached, the sermon that resulted in 3,000 baptisms and launched the church. And he finished with some really bad news. He told the Jews in his audience that they were guilty of killing Jesus, the Messiah. The people felt the sting of the words and asked if there was a way to get rid of that guilt. That's when Peter gave them the good news, that they could repent, turn to God, be baptized, and be saved. Bad news followed quickly by good news. That's the gospel, by the way, in a nutshell. Unfortunately, many people just want the good news part of the gospel. They want to hear about Jesus' love and Jesus' grace and mercy, but they'd prefer not to think about their own sin. However, it's after we deal with our sin that we can truly appreciate the good news of, oh my God, he's all over the story. What did you ask for, Don?
Shame.
No, you asked for forgiveness.
Oh, forgiveness.
There it is right there. Here he is. God is all over it. He delivered the book to us. It's after we deal with our sin that we can truly appreciate the good news of forgiveness and salvation. Did you all just get chills?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you are reckoning with your sin right now, if you're feeling the pain, you're feeling the regret and the shame of it, that's actually a good thing, folks. You don't want to live in that place forever. But for now, that pain, listen to this, that pain will help you appreciate what Jesus did for you, what these gentlemen have done for you. It's all of this. You are like disciples of him, serving our country, doing his work. That's what I believe. The gospel is bad news before it is good news. So today's prayer, Lord Jesus, thank you for dying on the cross to remove all my sin. You are not just good news. You are the best news. Help me to show my gratitude in the way I live from now on. Amen to that. Don, you couldn't have picked a better one.
That's right. That's the
Gentlemen,
nail on the head.
thank you again for coming in.
Monica, thank you.
Thank you,
it was a
Monica.
pleasure.
Wonderful to meet you.
Appreciate
And
it.
to all of you that did not know about Dude's Playground, now you do. Please spread the word that it's there so that no longer do the men or the women in your life have to suffer in silence and feel like they're alone. They're not. This respite is there for them. Dudesplayground.org. And again, the big fundraiser coming up in June. So we say it every time. There's the phone number, by the way, on the screen for you, 618-781-3658. Do reach out. Please find hope in today. Today, take it one day at a time. And remember, when you do go out, and I do hope you get a chance to get out of the darkness, away from that fluorescent light, go out. If you see somebody, even in passing on your street, say hi. Maybe give them a compliment. You never know how far that goes. And do one thing, and that is?
Be kind.
God bless you all.